Part 10. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 91. This person is so shameless. Han Weiwei, who followed Wei Suo to Wei Suo's heavenly residence, hated her teeth. Along the way, this guy walked to many places in Lingyu City, not to mention, and also made 2 circles in Lingyu City. Isn't it obvious that more people want to see her beautiful? Fortunately, she did not change her clothes in the main hall of the treasure pavilion, and she was inhumanly beaten to this look, even if her sister Jiya could not recognize her, otherwise she would be recognized as a treasure. Miss Court, wouldn't it be because of laughter? Seeing that she was beaten into, such a bodyguard in that hall was also intimidated by her and was not allowed to tell anyone, especially not to tell her sister Jiya, otherwise she would definitely have to be educated by Jiya for another half day, and maybe come out behind the in the future you have to keep up with a bunch of people. Yin dangerous, extremely yin dark inside. In addition to being shameless and frivolous and rogue, she gave Wei Suo such a definition in her heart. In fact, she blamed Wei Suo. The reason why Wei Suo made 2 extra rounds in Lingyu City was mainly because he was lost by Nangong Yuking. If Nangong Yuking really scolded him for a pass, then he might feel better in his heart, but the more the Nangong Yuking was smooth, the more dull, the more he could not bear it. Especially when I think of Nangong Yuking saying that it is his own business to spend the spirit stone, even if it is his own business to spend the 7,000 spirit stones, we do not need to explain it to her, and Wei Suo is even more panicked. Because even before he spent a few hundred spirit stones to get a heavenly residence, Nangong Yuking also specifically said his. I thought that I hadn't done anything at all, and I saw the Ling Garden and Ling Quan Pool in front of me, thinking that I might be away from Nangong Yuking from today, and it is impossible for me to have a hot spring with her in the future. Wei Suo, I even regretted that I wanted to jump into the Ling Quan pond and drown myself. Why, master, would you like me to help you? Asked Nangong Yuking. She was upset to accompany you with the hot spring, but at this time, she had been looking around for a while, and we saw Wei Suo looking at the Ling Quan pond in a daze. Han Weiwei looked very inhumane and said such a sentence. At this time, Wei Suo suddenly became guilty, and decided to break the jar, and tortured and abused you as a wicked slave. I am not called Wei Suo. After a cold look at Han Weiwei, who was very proud, Wei Suo walked out towards Ling Quan pond. You can stand here for me first. The more painful Wei Suo is, the happier Han Weiwei is. Hearing Wei Suo's words, she also deliberately asked, Master, you really want me to stand here? Don't I help you to? Ask Nangong Yuking. I'm going to be in this Ling Quan pond. If you want to see me undress, you can go in. If you don't want to, shut up for me and stand there obediently. Gather some fruit for me. Wei Suo gave a jing light, entered the Ling Quan pond, and yelled to the outside again. Did you really call yourself a slave? Han Weiwei's eyes widened in disbelief. But oh, the eyes glared, but the 2 eyes were dying from pain. Han Weiwei suddenly cursed Wei Suo in his heart, but thinking that he could not marry a Bihankan fat pig who did not take a bath for a year, Han Weiwei still picked a few fruits outside and sent it to Wei Suo. In the Ling Quan pond, Wei Suo, who only showed one head, just looked at it from a distance, and said directly, Why are you a slave, so clumsy? Can't you pick a fruit? Not even bitten by an insect. Come here for me too. Be smart as a slave. Han Weiwei was a little speechless, but what made her more speechless was that a fruit in her hand was really bitten by a bug. But the hole was so small that he didn't pay attention to it, but this guy saw it so far away. Anyway, Han Weiwei went out without saying anything, went out, and repicked a few fruits. This time I'm sure the skin is as clean and new as it is, and it's delicious, not bad at all. Heavy mining. But Wei Suo just looked at it from afar, and then spit out 2 words without expression. Why is this? Han Weiwei couldn't help it, and said angrily, just now you suspected a bite and a hole, but now these are no problems at all. I don't like to eat peach and li. Can you pick me both Peach and Lee, let me eat them, Wei Suo snorted. Han Weiwei shouted, then you just didn't say. Wei Suo hummed, I am the owner, and I will say it whenever I love. Also, the next time I speak, I must call the master first. Han Weiwei took a deep breath, in fact, her small were undulating violently. Okay, master, what fruit do you like to eat? Grapes and purple lotus mist are also okay. It should be like this. The slave should have the consciousness of being a slave. Be clever and understand the needs of the master. Eat you. Ba 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 ba. Han Weiwei picked a lot of grapes and purple lotus mist without saying anything, and spit on it, and then cursed Wei Suo in his heart, and sent these spitting fruits to the edge of the Lingquan pond. Come in, you are so far away, how can I get it? Do you want me to come out and get it? Wei Suo glanced at Han Weiwei standing by the Lingquan pond. What are you talking about? Han Weiwei's eyes widened in disbelief. Come in the hot spring. Am I not clear enough? Wei Suo looked at Han Weiwei, and finally felt refreshed. Didn't Han Weiwei deliberately use Nangongyuking and his hot springs to stimulate him? Isn't Nangongyuking impossible to have hot springs with him? Then Han Weiwei came with him. Don't forget that our former slave said that it is also conditional. Han Weiwei couldn't help but yell out. Wei Suo said contemptuously, why, you're still afraid that I won't take advantage of you. When have you seen your master take advantage of slaves? Anyway, just like you, I can't take advantage of you. Tell you, I won't even touch a finger. Why, can't the master not call the slaves together in a hot spring, and then feed a fruit or something? If you want to mad at me on purpose, I won't be fooled. If I let go, if I want to find a male cultivator, if I want to chase me, it is estimated that I can go around the entire Lingyu city twice. I don't disdain to look at you. If you dare to touch me with a finger, I will definitely let you cut you into 17 or 80 segments. Han Weiwei said these words with murderousness, and he just wore his teeth and wore them directly. All clothes stepped into the hot spring pool. Humph, here comes a grape. Wei Suo opened his mouth and said motionlessly like an uncle. Han Weiwei unwillingly picked an ordinary and fierce stuffed into Wei Suo's mouth. Looking at Wei Suo's happy eating, she felt very happy for a moment, because the grape was spit out by her. But this feeling only changed after a moment. How did she feel that it was almost like an indirect kiss? And although she was wearing clothes, she was indeed in a pool with him, so close, and this guy was really naked, but could not be seen through the pool water. Han Weiwei's blushing and red ears unconsciously made him feel uncomfortable. Nangongyuking is more reasonable than this big lady. People always make mistakes. It's impossible not to be forgiven if they make a mistake. Next time, I will find an opportunity to talk to her and make sure that I will never make a mistake again. It's also very likely to forgive me. After a while of Lingquan, Wei Suo's heart finally rejuvenated. In fact, Wei Suo does not necessarily want to happen something with Nangongyuking. Some Nangongyuking feels more like an older sister, but he has no relatives since he was very young. He knows the value of friends like Nangongyuking. It's like Ye Xiaozheng and Ye Guwei, so Weizhuo, who is usually stingy, is willing to give so many things to Ye Xiaozheng and Ye Guwei. Sometimes when something happens, people will feel frustrated that the sky is falling down and nothing will work, but once they figure it out, they will find that there are still many remedies. This is how Wei Suo is now. After thinking about it, he was full of fighting spirit, and his mood rose again. After all, buying spirit stones that control spirits today is a waste of time, and what kind of loose repair can be as powerful as yourself, so that the young lady in the treasure hall can be her own slave and accompany her own hot spring? After a smile, Wei Suo looked at Han Weiwei and said, I think it's uncomfortable to spread this fine sand beside this Lingquan pond. It's still cooler to spread cobblestones. You can find 2 in the waterfall over there. Thousands of pebbles come and spread this place. Han Weiwei didn't even know what was the idea, but she didn't say anything, so she walked out of the Lingquan pond obediently and walked towards the waterfall in the valley. This young lady's figure is really good, but it's too sloppy. After passing the hot spring water, although Han Weiwei's clothes were worn quite tightly, he could not see anything, but after all, it was attached to the body and had to be shipped at a fair price and curvy. Speaking of Han Weiwei's body is not particularly tall, but the proportion and curve is so Weizhuo amazed. Humph, don't look at white or look. After Weizhuo watched Han Weiwei walk out of the Ling garden unscrupulously, he quickly jumped out of the pool, put on his clothes, and then directly entered the practice quiet room. Taking out the piece of jade from the Naveo that recorded the spirit control technique, just looked at it for a moment, a layer of joy appeared on Weizhuo's face, and then he immediately took all the 5 heart-eater larvae. Come out. Be path to heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 92. 5 eggs of different sizes of heart-biting insects were carefully placed on the soft silver silk blanket by Weizhuo. This gated spirit control is indeed the same as what he had requested before, and the 4 monks of Shanhai realm are enough to perform. What makes Weizhuo even more delighted is that this gated spirit control is extremely clearly recorded. The younger the monster, the easier it is to control. Because the younger the monster, the weaker the spiritual consciousness. The truth of this gated spirit technique is, to put it simply, is to use spells to plant a unique spell in the spirit of the monster. This magic symbol can make the monk's consciousness control the monster. If the spirit of the monster itself is already very strong, it is very likely that it will not grow at all. This gated spirit is written clearly. If you want to use this technique to control monsters above level 4, you must use this technique shortly after the monster is born, otherwise this technique will not be available. Effect. After several births, the spirit consciousness will be very powerful. This gated spirit is ineffective. Heart Eater is not one of these types of monsters specifically pointed out. And there is a special note on this gated spirit control. Some oviparous monsters are best to perform spirit control directly before hatching. At this time, the unformed spirit of the monster and the beast was even weaker, and there was almost no consciousness of resistance. After casting the spirit control, the monster was hatched by the monk who cast the spirit control. Isn't this just tailor-made for Weizhuo's 5 heart-biting eggs? Weizhuo excitedly studied the gated spirits again. The spell casting of this gated spirit is not complicated, and it seems to be at most the same as casting the green water blade. Weizhuo can be sure that he can easily display this technique without practice. After closing his eyes and carefully recalling the technique in his mind, Weizhuo thought about it and applied the method according to the technique. I saw that as a real purple element emerged from Weizhuo's fingertips, a trace of green light also emerged out of thin air, forming a green spot of rice grain size at Weizhuo's fingertips. In this green light spot, there seemed to be many tiny runes shining. It really looks like a little rung. Weizhuo, who was rejoicing again on his face, didn't dare to look at it. He used his hand directly, and saw that the green spot of rice grain flew out of his hand and hit one of the eggs of Heart Eater. Under the flash of green light, this green light spot was directly hidden in the Heart Eater egg. Weizhuo felt it immediately. Because according to the spirit control, after the spell is successfully cast, the monk can feel the existence of the spell he planted, and can feel the situation of the monster controlled by the spell. However, what made Weizhuo's face suddenly change is that he failed the spirit control this time. He felt the existence of the magic symbol, but he also immediately felt that the vitality of the unshaped heartworm in the egg of the heartworm suddenly disappeared quickly. It only took a moment for Weizhuo to feel that the vitality in this heart-eater egg was completely cut off and turned into a dead egg. And the magic symbol he planted was dissipated directly at the moment the heart-eater egg became a dead egg. How is this possible? Weizhuo is quite sure that there is nothing wrong with his casting process this time. In this case, there is only one possibility, that is, there is a problem with this technique itself. Is it that this technique has been secretly modified by Han Weiwei? When thinking of this, Wei Suo's face suddenly became more ugly. Even the jade slips and heartworm eggs on the silver silk carpet were not collected at all, and Wei Suo swept directly out. Han Weiwei. As soon as he saw the scene outside, Wei Suo let out a loud roar. The whole spiritual orchard outside was turned into a mess at the moment, and many fruit trees were even cut directly to the ground. Especially the few grapes and purple lotus plants, as if they had been hit by hail. It was terrible. What? When Wei Suo let out a loud roar, Han Weiwei was holding a big pebble. Wei Suo roared together, and saw that the pebble bigger than her face fell directly on the ground, and the ground was a red plant. Moldy fruit tree. Click, this little red berry fruit tree must not be alive. Although this spirit orchard is originally equipped with a heaven-level residence, if it is maliciously damaged, the monk living in it must also make certain compensation. Sorry, I was shocked, and my hand slipped again. Han Weiwei chuckled. That's what your slaves did. Wei Suo looked at the messy orchard, and said coldly. Han Weiwei said innocently, I've been moving pebbles, but sometimes my hand slipped and fell off accidentally. Sometimes I couldn't move because I moved halfway, sometimes I just care about my hands, and I was careless. Hit these trees or something. It doesn't matter if you do this, but I didn't expect you to be so mean. Wei Suo looked at Han Weiwei coldly. Actually, I will give you the changed spirit control technique and let me fail to perform the spirit control technique. Han Weiwei was stunned for a moment. Change spirit control? What do you mean? What do you mean? Wei Suo sneered, I can't make a mistake in such a simple technique. I used to think you were a bit sloppy, a little unreasonable, and a little poor in knowledge and technology, but I didn't expect you to be so yin risk. Han Weiwei's face changed. Do you mean that I intentionally modified the spell before giving it to you? Wei Suo looked at Han Weiwei and said nothing, but sneered. I said, why do you want this gated spirit control so much? It turns out that there are monsters to control. Han Weiwei also sneered. But I also saw that gate technique. There are certain restrictions on it. 4 monsters above level must be cast shortly after hatching to succeed. Did you miss this and blame me instead? Is it? Wei Suo sneered. My monster is too young to be too young. You may wish to follow me in. Oviparous monsters, just baby eggs. Following Wei Suo's glance into the quiet room, Han Weiwei suddenly froze as soon as he saw the 5 heart-biting baby eggs on the ground. Wei Suo gave her an unusually cold look. What else do you have to say? The technique I gave you is definitely impossible. Han Weiwei gritted her teeth. What the are you? What kind of monster's egg is there? I don't think there is any need to tell you, Wei Suo sneered. I can tell you for sure that this is the egg of the 5th level monster, which is absolutely in line with this gate. The condition of the spell's casting. What are you doing? What sneered Wei Suo suddenly changed is that he saw Han Weiwei stomping his feet fiercely, and a green light spot quickly appeared on his hand. Then, while his loud shouting sounded, Han Weiwei had the light point of this green se blew into one of the heart-eater eggs. And what made Wei Suo even roll up a murderous intention is that the green light spot that Han Weiwei turned into is obviously the largest of the 5 heart-biting eggs. At first glance, it is the egg is the most powerful, the egg with the best innate conditions. What kind of monster you are, how ugly, like an octopus. However, Han Weiwei's surprised voice also sounded almost simultaneously. Has Han Weiwei's spirit control succeeded? The ugly face of Wei Suo took a deep breath and picked up the biggest heart-eater egg and the dead egg he just failed. Obviously, even without any spells, Wei Suo could feel that this largest heart-eater egg exudes a strange vitality. It seems that there is something in it, which will soon be drilled out. But the dead egg is obviously lifeless and completely different. I used what you said about the spirit control, wasn't it still successful? How do you say there is a problem with the spirit control? Han Weiwei's eyes flickered and asked Wei Suo. Wei Suosen said, "You can really swear, you are using the same spirit control as recorded in this jade slip." Han Weiwei also nodded angrily, "Of course I can swear." "Okay, I will cast the spell again in front of your eyes." Wei Suo has decided in his heart that if he fails to cast the spell again according to this gated spirit spell, then he will surely make the treasure pavilion pay a certain price, because this only shows that Han Weiwei used the real spirit control, and the jade was changed by her. Just like before, a little green light spot turned into Wei Suo's fingertips, and then fell into one of the heart-eater eggs. Successful. What left Wei Suo himself was that this time he clearly felt that he was in contact with the charms and the heartworm among the heartworm eggs. He could even feel that the heartworm inside had grown into what does it look like. Why? Successful. Seeing him stunned for a while, Han Weiwei, who saw the clues, sneered. "Did you have a problem with the spell? Did you wrong me? What happened? I obviously cast the spell exactly the same as last time. Why did it succeed this time but fail last time?" Wei Suo ignored Han Weiwei's sneer for a while, and hesitated for a moment. He once again performed the spirit control towards the smallest heart-eater egg. To Wei Suo's surprise, his spirit control succeeded again. He could clearly feel that this heart-eater was as malnourished, and it was very thin, much worse than that one. Obviously, it's not because of the innate problem of heart-biting eggs. The incomprehensible Wei Suo took a deep breath and once again cast a spirit control on the last heart-biting egg. But what made his face suddenly change is that this time his spirit control failed again. After planting the soul-controlling spell, the heart-eater egg quickly became a dead egg, and the previous spell was successfully cast. The vitality of the heart-eater egg without any problem suddenly began to be lost and changed. It became a dead egg. However, Han Weiwei's heart-eater egg that cast the spirit-controlling technique and the smallest heart-eater egg that he cast the spirit-controlling technique did not have any problems. Suddenly, the ugly face of Wei Suo suddenly wanted to understand why. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 93. Chapter 93. I want 100. Second, ask for the red ticket. The night market in the north of the city is as lively as it is in peacetime. A young cultivator wearing a very unobtrusive gray shapeshift great art suit, wandering slowly through the north night market, then walks into a shop called Nine Cauldrons Pavilion. This shop and is not a great treasure, only the second layer, and even the warehouse, there are only 7 or 8 rooms in the great treasure. This unobtrusive young cultivator, with the ghost raising jar out, is ready to buy a bunch of things and reclose the culture once to see if you can fix the Wei Suo of Heavenly Circuit Realm with the resources at hand. Along the way, from the hands of some rogue cultivators, Wei Suo has purchased 23 Cyan Beetles monster cores, 6 golden spirit pellets and 2 fire earth dragons that have just been killed. Because green-robed old man can only refining a few drops of fire earth dragon in a day, the blood of 2 fire earth dragons has been used by green-robed old man for at least a month. Now I chose this store called Nine Cauldrons Pavilion, because it seems to be not eye-catching, but in the north of the city, the strength is very strong. It is estimated that one can buy 780 old fox shops that Wei Suo often went to before. The Nine Cauldrons Pavilion has a lot of artifact refinement and concocting pills materials, and the owner Murong Chen is still a good artificer. If the cultivator gives some material intercourse to him for refining, if the refining is broken, he will also compensate spiritual stones, which is equivalent to the material itself, and enjoys a considerable surging sound in the market in the north of the city. Wei Suo now on hand also has a mind-devouring bug elder's corpse naked body. That mind-devouring bug elders evolved after the shapeshift great art beads, because green-robed old man has the artifact refinement side shapeshift great art with green seeking silver, and has been studying the GRE of the books and materials of the present cultivation world these days. Enrobed old man can be sure that his artifact refinement shapeshift great art is certainly better than the current key, and now some of the best shapeshift great art array, can only let green seeking silver 3 different shapeshift great art beads, while his can be embedded in 5 different shapeshift great art beads, so Wei Suo to keep the shapeshift great art bead and green seeking silver themselves refining. The rest of the mind-devouring bug's body was recourse to the owner of the 9 Cauldrons Pavilion, Murong Chen. The reason why the old man of the Golden Jade Pavilion was not refining was because Wei Suo was very careful and didn't want the Golden Jade Pavilion to know too much secret place. For Wei Suo, only friends like Nangong Yuking and Ye family and sisters can make enough trust, and Golden Jade Pavilion and him are just intercourse, and there is no shapeshift great art to let him 100% no warning. When Wei Suo walked into the hall of the 9 Cauldrons Pavilion, there were 2 clerk in cyan clothes, one dark-skinned, some thin and thin, 20-year-old, and the other one was slightly precious treasure, and it looked only 27-8, with a pair of ears. A great treasure in the black leather armor, in front of a counter, talking to the dark-skinned clerk at the intercourse, seems to be buying something. The clerk with a pair of slaps was empty, but Wei Suo, who came in and saw it, did not come forward. Wei Suo didn't think much about it, and looked at it from the bottom. Shops such as the 9 Cauldrons Pavilion, the Interior and the Golden Jade Pavilion are still not compared to the shapeshift great art. There is no special shapeshift great art array in this hall, just all the materials on the counter. They are all covered with crystals that have been ground into thin slices. If you want to look at a certain material carefully, you must have a clerk to take it out, but you can't take it out at your own discretion. Kid, buy the bloody stem and the twilight fruit. Wei Suo saw one of the counters and the golden spirit pellet show. At this time, the surging sound of green-robed old man rang in his ear. Blood stems, dusk fruit. Wei Suo stunned, and he knew both things. The blood lotus stem is a healing herbal herb that can quickly stop the regenerate muscle, while the twilight fruit is a yellow berry that matures only at dusk, and falls off the ice haze fruit and falls off, and spiritual chi loses. The role of this berry is Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 94. Chapter 94, Sky Valley Divine Peach Jade, 3rd, Red Ticket. 100 Golden Spirit Pellet, 200 Cyan Beetles Monster Core. Even the other dark-skinned clerk changed his face. Joke, but at this time, the male cultivator like the rich man couldn't help but smash a surging sound. Even if it is a place like the Golden Jade Pavilion and the Rare Treasure Pavilion, I can't find so many Cyan Beetles Monster Core at once. You are sure that this is not such a great treasure quantity, just arbitrarily chasing people? That is, 100 golden spirit pellets will have at least 10,000 spintal stones, plus so many Cyan Beetles monster cores. Can you get so many spiritual stones? The plump female cultivator also suddenly laughed. Really, Wei Suo took out a spiritual stones bag from the treasure receiving pocket and untied it. Ah, the mouth of this plump female cultivator suddenly opened up, and the moment was not close. The same male cultivator and 2 clerk of the wealthy family were also dull. Wei Suo's this spiritual stones bag is filled with milky high-grade spiritual stones, a great treasure bag, and the number of high-grade spiritual stones is over 300. 300 high-grade spiritual stones are equivalent to 30,000 downscale spiritual stones. What? Wei Suo took a surging sound. Is it not enough for these spiritual stones to buy 100 golden spirit pellets and 200 Cyan Beetles monster cores? Enough, enough, the singer of the wind screamed like a dream, and a dense layer of sweat on his forehead. It's just such a great treasure. Our 9 Cauldrons Pavilion has no shapeshift great art at the moment. Haha, 100 golden spirit pellet, 200 Cyan Beetles monster core, buy cool, Wei Suo. So many golden spirit pellet and Cyan Beetles monster core, is enough for you to break through to heavenly circuit realm and upgrade your purple mystic true technique to earth level low grade. Green robed old man excited, haha, great treasure, laugh. Wei Suo took a look at the singer. Would you have a few days to get together? I don't have a shapeshift great art decision. I'm afraid I have to ask our seniors to see our owner. The shopkeepers said that they were sincere and fearful, and even the title was directly replaced by their predecessors. All right, Wei Suo nodded. I have other things to look for in your boss anyway. Predecessors, please come with me. The shopkeeper immediately slammed his head and nodded, regardless of the pair of men and women, and led Wei Suo to walk inside. And the plume female cultivator and the landlord's male cultivator were extremely embarrassed, and there was nothing to say, and the female cultivator no longer seemed to be close to the male cultivator. Wei Suo also did not look at the two people. Followed the protruding ear clerk went in. Before the two men came in, he used two aura determining technique. Saw, the male cultivator is only divine sea realm 5th layer of the cultivator, and the wine of the plump fat female cultivator is only divine sea realm 4th the layer base. Plus look at the two people just looked. Wei Suo sure these two people will not have too much spiritual stones, not too great treasure background. The shopkeeper took Wei Suo to the backyard of the Nine Cauldrons pavilion. Suddenly he seemed to be determined, stopped, and took something out of his arms and handed it to Wei Suo. What? Wei Suo was a glimpse of this. He saw that the clerk of the wind was plunged into his hands with a half-slapped pale treasure of small pink jade. The weight was not heavy, but the color was extremely smooth, as if it were to drip out oil. This is divine peach jade. The shopkeepers were a little bit painful to Wei Suo's light surging sound. You can protect the cultivator into the Sky Valley. Sky Valley will be able to enter soon. This divine peach jade was originally prepared for me to go in and try my luck today. I have a lot of offense against my predecessors. I also hope that my seniors will have a great treasure. Don't worry about the younger generation. This divine peach jade invites the seniors to smile, and asks the seniors to help me in front of the owner. Divine peach jade, Wei Suo is a little bit moving. Wei Suo knows that the clerk must be afraid that he will complain in front of the owner, that he can't eat and walk, and use his things to bribe Wei Suo, which is also a good way to make up for the shapeshift great art. But divine peach jade and Sky Valley are also great treasures. Mifu. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 95. Chapter 95 Stealth Shapeshift Great Art. First, Red Ticket. Brother Ji originally wanted to entrust me with artifact refinement. In Murong Chen's room, Murong Chen looked at Wei Suo and asked, I don't know what kind of material is Brother Ji's hand on. Wei Suo reached out and first took mind-devouring bug smashed bone spike pipette. I heard people say that this thing should be made to attack the shapeshift great art. I don't know if Murong Chen is it a refining. This is the food of mind-devouring bug. Murong Chen looked a little, and the very low surging sound was exclaimed. Wei Suo stunned and snorted, and Murong Chen was obviously very eye-catching. He immediately saw it, but Wei Suo still thinks that the straw is more vivid. He said that the food is a bit too accustomed to listening. And this is the food of the very long mind-devouring bug. Murong Chen took a look at the cutting edge of a hollow bone spike and gave it a surging sound. Wei Suo asked for the surging sound color. I don't know if this can be used to refine the attack on the shapeshift great art. Yes, as well as refining, it should be a good stealth attack on the shapeshift great art, Murong Chen said with some excitement. After all, this material is also difficult to meet at all. And this mind-devouring bug is very long, and the material of this piece is already stronger than the general essence metal. Shapeshift great art should have more than half the attack power of spiritual artifact. Semi-spiritual artifact? If I changed my previous master refining, I would like to make a real spiritual artifact. Green-robed old man's stunned surging sound rang in Wei Suo's ears. For green-robed old man, Wei Suo didn't take it for granted. Of course, if you switch to a top-grade artificer, it is very possible to refine some ordinary materials into a spiritual artifact, But where to find this level of artificer? Even if you find it, you will not be at home. Will help Weisuo artifact refinement. Even if you give Weisuo face, the cost is certainly very amazing. For Weisuo, it's enough now. If you hide something good and don't want to use it, Weisuo won't do it. As long as the strength continues to increase, maybe you will get something better. Well, since Murong boss feels that he can refine it, this thing will intercourse to the boss for refining. Weisuo nodded directly and asked, I just don't know how much it costs. How many days can I complete? Murong Chen thought about it and said, this thing is no better than essence metal. If it is broken, it can be remelted. It must be very careful in refining. I estimate it will take at least 20 days. As for the cost, my refining shapeshift great art is calculated on the basis of 50 pieces of spiritual stones. The shapeshift great art is estimated to cost 1,000 pieces of spiritual stones. 1,000 pieces of spiritual stones. Weisuo swallowed his saliva. Time is not a problem. Anyway, after he has prepared so many golden spirit pellet and cyan beetles monster core this time, it will definitely be closed for some time. After breaking through heavenly circuit realm, it is possible to come out, but 1,000 products. The cost of spiritual stones still made him a bit of a pain. No wonder that 1.5 of spiritual artifact now sells at least 2,000 of the spiritual stones. Not only is the material expensive, but even the refining labor is amazing. But Weisuo doesn't refine now, so the heartache hurts. Weisuo nodded and said, okay, then it's better for the boss. Brother G, don't you have other materials for this mind-devouring bug? When Murong Chen saw Weisuo nodding his head, he immediately said something eagerly. After saying such a sentence, Murong Chen reacted to himself. He smiled embarrassedly, sorry, like me artificer great treasure everything has such a strange heart. I think this mind-devouring bug is very long. If there are other parts of the material, it should also be able to make a good shapeshift great art. Oh. Weisuo smiled and took out the mind-devouring bug after his dissection. I don't know what advice Murong boss has. Do you really have a whole mind-devouring bug? And the 2 heads bought by the Golden Jade Pavilion are all years long. Murong Chen was extremely shocked to see the mind-devouring bug from Weisuo. Like looking at the great treasure, after looking through it, his eyes were filled with the avid table lust. If I choose, I will this mind-devouring bug refined into a shapeshift great art garment that hides the body and has some protective power. Then listen to the boss, refined into a shapeshift great art dress. Weisuo haha smiles. An invisible shapeshift great art, plus an invisible shapeshift great art, is the best combination for home travel and money. Nice. Does Brother G want to watch it on the spot? If you want, I can start now. Murong Chen met such a good material, and some of them were very upset. Weisuo shook his head. This is not going to be. How long will this shapeshift great art dress be? This shapeshift great art is about 20 days old. Would you like this shapeshift great art or the attacking shapeshift great art? Asked Murong Chen. Weisuo hesitated a little, and thought that the invisible shapeshift great art first got better, because after all, even if there is an invisible shapeshift great art, the figure is exposed when attacking the opponent, and the attack is still attacking shapeshift great. The art is more insidious, so Weisuo replied immediately, the attack type shapeshift great art is good. Well, I don't know if Brother G is coming by myself, or will I send someone to the door? I will take it for myself. Weisuo is now trying not to let people at Nine Cauldrons Pavilion know more about lust. Okay, but I have to explain some of the rules of our Nine Cauldrons Pavilion. Murong Chen looked at Weisuo and said, I don't have 100% confidence in this artifact refinement. If the artifact refinement is broken, I can't take the refining costs, but I can only compensate for the cost of the materials. Like this devourer, I can compensate 1,000 spintal stones, the mind-devouring bug used to refine shapeshift great art. If it is destroyed, I can compensate for 2,000 spintal stones. And even if it is refining, I will return all the materials that have been smelted to you. How do you see it? Okuesuo nodded very refreshingly. Now the monster core and shapeshift great art beads of the mind-devouring bug elders have been taken out by him. Murong Chen gives the guarantee fee of 3,000 products of spiritual stones, and the price is fair, because Murong Chen also bears some risks. If the refining is broken, he himself will compensate the spiritual stones of a great treasure. I like intercourse and Brother G so refreshing people to play intercourse. In the future, if Brother G has any good materials for me to refine, as long as I am successful in refining, I can offer some refining costs. Murong Chen looked at Wei Suo and smiled. Does Brother G have something else besides this? I still have something to ask Murong boss to help secret place. When Wei Suo said this, suddenly the surging sound of green-robed old man rang in his ear. Let's ask him if there is a naked body map to the Dragon Cliff. Broken Dragon Cliff, where is this? Wei Suo bowed, but he nodded immediately without moving the surging sound and asked, and I want to ask the boss, is there a naked body map to the Dragon Cliff? Are you going to break the Dragon Cliff? This is not, but I can buy it for you. Murong Chen shook his head. What is Brother G going to let me secret place? It's this thing. Wei Suo took Lu Sanbao's great treasure knife out. This is the shapeshift great art knife that was made in the essence metal refining. I reached out and looked at the seemingly ordinary great treasure knife. I took a closer look and played the bullet. After listening to the surging sound, Murong Chen appeared again. Brother G wants me to do it. What kind of secret place? If you want me to help you melt this great treasure knife into a flying sword, I can't help it. I don't know how to control the shapeshift great art. If it's a stove, it's no shapeshift great art, and it's engraved. Shapeshift great art array. Don't refined into flying sword. Wei Suo he smiled and said, as long as the boss helps me with a secret place, don't let people see that the great treasure knife looks like it. It's best to make people feel more ordinary, and some garbage is better. More ordinary, Murong Chen stayed for a while and sweated unconsciously. This great treasure knife is very common, but also more common? Think of the great treasure knife that makes you feel very ordinary, and the shapeshift great art suit, shapeshift great art great treasure. Murong Chen is a bit speechless. This also seems too sinister, too wretched. Wei Suo thought that Murong Chen hadn't understood his intentions yet, saying, for example, add some rust. Murong Chen couldn't help but laugh at the surging sound. Brother G is right away, it is not difficult. You can also use no fees. So thank you Murong boss. Wei Suo is very satisfied with haha. This great treasure knife is not sinister, but the most important, Wei Suo does not want to use this thing. It was recognized by friends of Lu Sanbao. Like Lu Sanbao, the abnormal cultivator, his friend must be very abnormal. Great treasure. After about half an hour, Wei Suo, who was sore, walked out of the great treasure door of the Nine Cauldrons Pavilion. In the Nine Cauldrons Pavilion he bought 70 golden spirit pellet, 95 cyan beetles monster core, 5 bloody stems and 5 twilight fruits. Plus his previous 23 cyan beetles monster core and 9 golden spirit pellet, 2 fire earth dragon. His spiritual stones bag is shrinking the great treasure, leaving only about 28,500 pieces of the following spiritual stones. Ask Nine Cauldrons Pavilion for the remaining 30 golden spirit pellets and 135 cyan beetles monster cores, as well as the first nurturing demon liquid materials, and intercourse half of the spiritual stones as a deposit. Although Murong Chen's generation of shapeshift great art great treasure does not need to pay a deposit, Wei Suo now has only 2,300 pieces of spiritual stones left. I haven't bought it yet. But what makes Wei Suo even more painful is that the addiction of green-robed old man seems to be just getting up, laughing in the great treasure of wow ha 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 in his ear. Go there and see, there is a lot of fun over there, maybe there are a lot of good things to sell. After hearing what Wei Suo said, the green-robed old man took another surging sound. What are you afraid of? There are so many spiritual stones. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 96. Did Brother G still want to entrust me to the refiner? In Murongchen's room, Murongchen looked at Wei Suo and asked, I don't know what kind of material is on hand for Brother G. Wei Suo stretched out his hand and first took out the broken bone spur straw of Elder Heart Eater. I heard people say that this thing should be able to be used as an attack weapon. System. This is the Heart Eater's food. Murongchen looked at it a little, then exclaimed in a very moving voice. Wei Suo uncovered his lips imperceptibly, and Murongchen was obviously very visionary, but he immediately saw it, but Wei Suo still felt that the straw was more vivid. And this is also a very long eater of heartworms. Murongchen picked up the most cutting-edge hollow bone spur and looked at it again, exclaimed again. Wei Suo asked silently, I don't know if this can be used to refine the offensive weapon. Yes, as if the refining is successful, it should be able to become a good hidden attack weapon, Murongchen said with some excitement. After all, this material is also difficult for him to encounter at ordinary times, and this bite the heartworm is extremely old. The material of this piece of material is already stronger than ordinary gold. The refined magic weapon should have more than half the magic weapon's attack power. Semi-spiritual weapon? If it was changed by one of my former masters, it should be made into a real spiritual weapon. The old man's despising voice rang in Wei Suo's ear. For the old man in green robe, Wei Suo did not take it at all. Of course, for a top-level refining master, it is possible to refining some common materials into a spiritual weapon, but wherever you can find a refining master of this level, even if you can find it, in your capacity, nor will he help Wei Suo refining equipment, even if we give Wei Suo face, the cost is certainly very amazing. For Wei Suo, it is enough now. If we hide something good and refuse to take it out, we will not do it. As long as the strength keeps increasing, we may get something better. Okay, if the boss Murong thinks it can be refined, then this thing will be handed over to the boss to refine it. Wei Suo nodded directly and asked, I just don't know how much it will cost. Can it be done? Murongchen thought about it and said, this thing is no better than Jing gold. It can be smelted again if it is broken. I must be very careful in refining it. I estimate it must be at least 20 yuan. 50 inferior spirit stones are calculated, and this tool is estimated to cost 1,000 inferior spirit stones. 1,000 inferior spirit stones, Wei Suo swallowed. Time is not a problem. Anyway, after he prepared so many Jinling pills and green beetle demon pills this time, he must retreat for some time. It is possible to come out after breaking through Zhou Tianjing, but 1,000 pieces the cost of the lower grade spirit stone still made him a little painful. No wonder now that a half spiritual weapon is sold for at least 2,000 inferior spirit stones. Not only is the material expensive, but even the labor of refining is also amazing. But anyway, Wei Suo can't refine now, so the heartache is back to heartache. Wei Suo nodded and said, okay, then just do what the boss said. Brother G, don't you have any other material for this heart eater? Murongchen said eagerly after seeing Wei Suo nod, and after saying this, Murongchen himself reacted again. Similarly, I embarrassedly smiled and said, sorry, everyone like me who is a refining master has such a surprisingly happy problem. I think this bitter worm is very old, if there are other parts materials, should be able to make a good magic weapon. Oh, Wei Suo smiled, and took out all the heartworms he had dissected. I don't know what Boss Murong has any suggestions. Do you really have a whole head bite worm? And it is older than the 2 ends bought by Jin Yuge. Murongchen looked at the bite bug that Wei Suo took out with great shock, just like looking at the baby. After watching it again, his eyes were full of fanatical expressions. If you let me choose, I will refine this heart eater into a vest that can be concealed and has a certain protective power. Then listen to the boss and make it into such a vest. Wei Suohaha smiled. A cloak that can be invisible, plus a magic weapon that can be invisible, this is the best combination for home travel and fortune. Okay. Will the brothers watch it on the spot? If I want, I can start now. Murong Chen saw such good materials, and was a little bit irritated. Wei Suo shook his head. This is no longer necessary. How long will this vest be? This cassock is almost 20 Ri. Do you want this cassock or this attacking weapon first? Murong Chen asked. Wei Suo hesitated a little, and felt that it was still an invisible weapon first, because after all, even if there was an invisible vest, when he attacked the opponent, his body was also exposed, and the attacking attack was still more dangerous. So Wei Suo immediately replied, just attack the magic weapon first. Okay, I don't know if Brother Ji will pick it up by myself, or will I send someone to the door? I'll take it myself. Wei Suo tried not to let the people of Judingzai know more about him. Okay, but I have to explain some of the rules of Judingzai first. Murong Chen looked at Wei Suo Chen and said, I don't have 100% certainty that this refiner can be completed. I don't get anything for the production cost, but I can only compensate for the cost of the materials. Like this phagocytosis eater, I can compensate 1,000 inferior spirit stones. This heart eater used to refine the vestment, if it is destroyed, I can compensate 2,000 inferior spirit stones. And even if it is broken, I will return all the broken materials to you. What do you think? Yes, Wei Suo nodded readily. Now the demon pill and Fazu, the elder of the heartworm, have been taken out by him. Murong Chen has given a guarantee fee of 3,000 inferior spirit stones. The price is fair, because after all Murong Chen also has to bear part of the risk. If it is broken, he will compensate a large part of the spirit stone. I like to deal with such cheerful people as Brother Ji. In the future, if Brother Ji has any good materials for me to refine, as long as I succeed in refining, I can discount the refining cost. Murong Chen looked at Wei Suo. He also smiled and said, Brother Ji, is there anything else? I still have something to ask the boss Murong to help me deal with it. When Wei Suo said this, the old man's voice suddenly rang in his ears again. You ask him, by the way, is it broken, a specific map of Lanja? Broken Dragon Cliff, what is this place? Wei Suo froze for a moment, but he nodded silently and asked, and I want to ask the boss, did you come to Broken Dragon Cliff, specific map? Are you off to Dragon Cliff? It's not there, but I can buy it for you. Murong Chen shook his head. What is G brother, let me deal with it? It's this thing. Wei Suo took out Lu Sanbao's big knife. This is a magic knife with Taijing gold refining. He took his hand and took a very ordinary sword, looked at it carefully, and bounced again. After listening to the voice, Murong Chen appeared moving again. What did Brother Ji want me to do, handling? If you want me to help you melt this big sword into a flying sword, I can't help it. I don't understand the fire control method. If I only rely on the stove, I can't melt it and compile the engraved circle. You don't need to make it into a flying sword, Wei Suo said with a smile, as long as the boss helps me deal with it, don't let people see the original appearance of this big knife. It is better to make people feel more ordinary and garbage. Just better. More common. Murong Chen stayed for a while, sweating unconsciously. This big knife is very common, but more common when I think of this big knife that makes people think it is very common. It is equipped with a cloak and magic weapon that can be hidden. Murong Chen was even more speechless. This also seems too dangerous, too insignificant. Wei Suo thought Murong Chen hadn't understood his intentions yet, prompting, for example, add some rust or something. Murong Chen couldn't help but laugh. Brother Ji is going to be right away, it's not difficult. You don't need any fees. So thank you boss. Murong Wei Suo smiled very satisfied. This dagger yin or yin is the next best thing. The main reason Wei Suo did not want to use this thing was recognized by Lu Sanbao's friends. As a perverted monk like Lu Sanbao, his friend must also be very perverted. After less than half an hour or so, Wei Suo, with a painful face, came out of the gate of Judingzai. In Judingzai he bought a total of 70 Jinling pills, 65 green beetle demon pills, 5 blood lotus stems and 5 evening fruits plus the 23 before him the green beetle demon pill and 6 golden spirit pill, 2 fire earth dragon. The spirit stone bag on his body has shrunk greatly, leaving only about 28,500 inferior spirit stones. As for the remaining 30 golden spirit pills and 135 green beetle demon pills of Juding Zading, and the materials of the first batch of peacock demon liquid, half of the lingxi was paid as a deposit, although Murong Chen's generation there is no deposit required to practice the magic weapon, and Wei Suo now only has more than 23,100 inferior spirit stones. Don't buy it yet. But what made Wei Suo even more painful is that the addiction of the old man in the green robe seems to have just risen, and he laughed non-stop in his ears. Let's go over there to see, there is more lively there, maybe there is still many good things sell. After hearing Wei Suo said that he hadn't bought it yet, the old man in green robe snorted again. What are you afraid of? There are so many spirit stones, you can't lose anything. That's right. Wei Suo remembered about the blood lotus stems and evening fruit. While reluctantly walking towards the most lively places in Jinbei night market, he couldn't help but ask, you let me buy blood lotus stems and what does dusk fruit do? What might make me earn thousands of soul stones at once, or maybe none at all? Be Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 97. Chapter 97 Cultivator 10 years ago, 3rd, Red Ticket. What the hell is it? Wei Suo, who was very speechless to green-robed old man, nodded and followed the thin cultivator and walked to a narrow alley, asking. The thin cultivator looked around and looked at the light-surging sound of some secret places. The thing I want to sell is just a message. A message? Green-robed old man's surging sound suddenly rang, and great treasure looked disappointing. Wei Suo is also something surprised. What kind of news? A message about spiritual artifact. The dry cultivator he smiled and said, according to what I said, I will get a spirit rank shapeshift great art great treasure. What do you mean? Let me pay you a spiritual stones, and then you tell me where the spiritual artifact is, let me pick it up. Wei Suo looked at the dry cultivator road without a table lust. The thin cultivator smiled and said, Zaitai is really a smart person, and I understand what I mean. Wei Suo glanced at him. How many spiritual stones do you want? The thin cultivator hesitated. 500 pieces of spiritual stones. 500 pieces of spiritual stones, Wei Suo sneered a little. I tell you a place for Dao rank shapeshift great art great treasure. How about giving you 1,000 pieces of spiritual stones? The eyes of the thin cultivator bulged out. Do you know where there is Dao rank shapeshift great art great treasure? Wei Suo said with a smile, I don't know if I don't know, can't I talk nonsense, you know where the spiritual artifact is, don't pick it up. As long as I have 500 spiritual stones, let me take a spiritual artifact worth at least 6 or 7,000 spiritual stones. Are you an idiot? The thin cultivator shook his head. The original Xiantai thought that I was talking casually and wanted to swine the spiritual stones. But I didn't want to take that spiritual artifact. The spiritual artifact was not lying on a secret place, but on the back of a monster beast. With my cultivation base, it is none of shapeshift great art that has hosted the monster beast. Put it on the back of a monster beast. Hearing this thin cultivator, Wei Suo has produced a sense of ridiculousness. Is this cultivator the elder scarlet beetle he also saw? The nonsense, if a spiritual artifact is inserted on the back of the monster beast is also seriously injured, Can you still rival, Weisuo, who felt ridiculous in his heart, sneered, and you can't deal with it yourself, how can I be sure I have dealt with it? I also know that this is a little unbelievable, but I can guarantee that the sentence I am saying is true. I can swear. The Thing Cultivator smiled bitterly. The monster beast is just an advanced elder beast. The carapace is particularly thick. The spiritual chi penetrates the carapace but does not seem to be too deep, so there is no right. That monster beast caused a lot of damage to Great Treasure. However, I think that the only brothers and sisters have made a lot of money, and at least they have bought thousands of spiritual stones. It is definitely not comparable to the low-grade cultivator. The monster beast was originally a level 2 monster beast. Even if it is advanced, I think that it is no problem to deal with such a monster beast as a brother. Hearing here, whether it's green-robed old man or Weisuo, it's almost certain that the Thing Cultivator is talking about the scarlet beetles. It seems that the scarlet beetles' brothers came out again and saw the cultivator. Weisuo, some silently shaking his head, but he made a sly face. This Xiantai, the advanced monster beast you said, is an elder scarlet beetle. What? How did you know that? The Thing Cultivator almost jumped up. His face was great, and he looked at Weisuo with a ghostly look. Weisuo did not answer, but instead he said, "Have you seen the Lord Palace Li Honglan of the Golden Eagle Palace?" I haven't seen this before. The dry cultivator doesn't know what Weisuo means, and looks at Weisuo in a sullen look. It's just down, Weisuo. A surging sound. Leng said, "I tell you, this scarlet beetles, our Golden Eagle Palace has long been discovered. These days we are going to kill the scarlet beetles and take the little arrow on the back of the scarlet beetles. I didn't expect you to see that red path to heaven." Author, Wu Ziwei. Chapter 98. Chapter 98. Who should not have been? First, ask for the red ticket. Great Treasure. When you look at the home, don't forget to log in and collect it. Now the red ticket and the click are very fierce. All the way up, the collection of the Great Treasure home also gives strength, all the way up. Weisuo didn't know that almost at the moment when his figure disappeared in the shapeshift Great Art Array, the red robe cultivator who competed with him for the fire level of the fire level in the earth level, then entered the secret place building. Among them, the shapeshift Great Art, which had just been sent to Weisuo, had a point. After the intercourse received 2 of the following spiritual stones, the face of the red cultivator, which was in the shadow of the shadow, also stood on the transmission of the shapeshift Great Art. On the other side, just out of the shapeshift Great Art Array, and yet to see what secret place was sent outside of Spirit Peak City, Weisuo's face became more and more ugly. The shapeshift Great Art Array is a mountain valley, and the Chen cultivator, who is almost reaching the mouth of the valley, has already presented a shapeshift Great Art instrument like a paper kite. Wind Bamboo. 7-Star City. The unique flight Great Art of the Maple Valley, although it looks like a bamboo paper kite, sizzles on it, but the speed of the flying raft is far less than that of Weisuo's. Weisuo gritted his teeth and took out the wingshift Great Art Great Treasure White Jade Crane from Wendeage. A true yuan was poured into it. The appearance had become pitted, and the spotted white jade crane suddenly changed to Great Treasure. In front of Weisuo's. A surging sound of call, white jade crane flew out with Weisuo, but instantly swayed in the air. Weisuo's figure also swayed on the white jade crane. Last name Chen, unfamiliar with this shapeshift Great Art Great Treasure, Weisuo, who almost couldn't control falling directly from the air, gave a surging sound. "Is my parents in your hands?" The Chen cultivator on the front of the wind bamboo stalk is obviously stagnation, but it still does not look back. "I give you the answer in your own things, you don't need to chase me." His surging sound came from the oncoming night wind. The secret place outside the teleportation array is amazed by the Ashbone Mountain in the northwest of Spirit Peak City. There are many monster beasts such as thunder and swallows. At the moment, there are many monster beasts in the night wind. But Weisuo is willing to let go, desperately controlling the swaying white jade crane, surging sound, "My parents take care of everything, you are not thin, if you have a clear conscience, why don't you stop and tell me clearly?" Chen's surnamed cultivator no longer speaks, just heading for a nearby secret place. Wei Suo's white jade crane, although it is damaged and looks ugly, the flying speed is actually much faster than this wind bamboo, but Wei Suo can barely control the white jade crane, no shapeshift great art. The speed of the white jade crane can only barely be pulled away, and the back of the Chen cultivator in front is faintly seen. Between the chasing and the escape, the two flew 100 miles away, and the Chen surnamed cultivator did not dare to rush into the Ashbone Mountain deep secret place with the level 5 monster beast, just against the edge of Ashbone Mountain. I want to get rid of Wei Suo's tracking with the surrounding terrain and mountains. But as Wei Suo slightly adapted to the control of white jade crane, Chen's cultivator was always without shapeshift great art and lost Wei Suo. This guy can't run away. You just have to prepare for him to fight shapeshift great art. We just bought a great treasure heap. This time the surging sound of green-robed old man was also called in Wei Suo's ear. Seeing that the escape rate of the Chen surnamed cultivator has reached the limit, as long as Wei Suo are more and more familiar with the control of white jade crane, they will definitely be caught up by Wei Suo and cultivator in this secret place. Suddenly, both Wei Suo and Chen's cultivator saw a red light in the valley on the left side of the front that could be emitted by shapeshift great art. Han Weiwei, what makes Wei Suo unbelievable is that Han Weiwei, who appeared in his sights, was out of his heaven-grade residence during the day. Her two panda eyes did not know what spicy herb was used, and it was completely fine. At the moment, she is showing a fire shield, her face pale and running towards the outside of the valley, and behind her, she is chasing 5 bodies full of fluff, 3 feet long, with a grey giant like a wolf head. Bat. And NB, you are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 99. Chapter 99, A Pair of Dogs for Men and Women. Second, ask for the red ticket. 300,000 words in so many days, great treasure. New Year's, not easy. Our red envelopes do not, red tickets and collections, great treasure. Home support point. Get up. The face of the middle-aged cultivator in the shadow of the red is not known as the shapeshift great art. Although the flying speed is not comparable to that of the Chen cultivator and the Wei Suo's white jade crane, it flies. The speed is also significantly faster than Wei Suo's. This guy seems to be unwilling. The surging sound of green-robed old man immediately rang in Wei Suo's ear. I said how you are this great treasure in the middle of the night. It turned out to be here to meet the little lust people at a glance. Wei Suo and Han Weiwei, the face of the cultivator, also stunned, and he sneered. Why, do you think that Wushan Yunyu is not enough in Lingbai City? You have to run here. What kind of place does the monster beast haunt? Han Weiwei looked at the cultivator a little bit stunned, but Wei Suo frowned slightly and said, "This brother, you admit the wrong person, but I never knew you. It doesn't matter if you don't know me, as long as I recognize you." Red shirt middle-aged cultivator Senran smiled, "You are called Wei Suo." Wei Suo took a glimpse of his heart and secretly took Lu Sanbao's bronzed cyan flat clock in his hand. "Why, you know my name, is there anything in between?" The red shirt middle-aged cultivator said without hesitation, "I have nothing to do with you, but I have a friend who wants to kill you, plus a copy of spiritual stones. I can only do it for you." It is. No wonder this person's gaze looks so sullen. It's usually a way of choosing people. It's different from the general cultivator. It seems that this person is the killer of spiritual stones. Wei Suo's heart rushed up and looked at the red middle-aged cultivator. "Who is letting you kill me? How many spiritual stones did he give you? Why, do you still want to give me higher spiritual stones, and let me kill him instead?" A smile of the middle-aged cultivator. "Haha, in red, I advise you to die this hard." After I kill you, all the spiritual stones on your body are not mine, but if you want to know who killed you, I can give you a chance. Anyway, I have notified the friend to come over and receive the goods. At that time, I can set up shapeshift great art to give you a sigh of relief and let you see who is going to kill you and let you die. A surging sound sounded softly, and Wei Suo directly inspired the cyan flat clock in his hand, and covered a cyan mask on himself and Han Wei. Then Wei Suo also smashed the white through the cloud bone shield. The red-robed cultivator with a sullen face is not in a hurry to shoot, but only to present a black small round shield. In the night, I can't see what kind of shapeshift great art shield. But I am somewhat admired by you. The face of the red garment middle-aged cultivator sacrificed this small round shield, but the eyes are presumptuous in has changed the silver shapeshift great art clothing Han Wei body sweeping to sweep, color heart great treasure up, you just a common small rogue cultivator, cultivation base even heavenly circuit realm are not, incredibly can hook up rare treasure great pavilion treasure miss, and she, Nangong looking together with 3 people. Steal intercourse, it is a bit of harm. You need to know the female cultivator like young lady Han, which I can't touch even if I can't touch it. Tut tut, Nangong looking and young lady Han are all beautiful women. At this moment, I just imagined that she and Nangong looking are slickly under the guidance of your intercourse, and they can't stand it. Shut up. Han Wei almost fainted, and unbelievably stretched out his fingers and pointed Wei Suo. You and this person have known before, what shameless words do you say to him? How can he say such things? What does it have to do with me? Wei Suo is also a bit dumbfounded. Forget it, young lady Han, you don't have to put any pure jade girl in front of me. Is there anything I have heard in my ears? But fortunately, this kid came out in the middle of the night. O Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 100. Chapter 119 Amethyst Fox Rose and Mind-Devouring Bug. Amethyst Fox Rose, after the announcement of Wei Suo and shopkeeper Tian without any expression at the Golden Jade Pavilion, carefully inquired about the detailed use of the spicy herb. Wei Suo was tempted to get a chance to go to Sky Valley after the Divine Peach Jade had been greeted by the 9 Cauldrons Pavilion. Because of the place like Sky Valley, although there are many secret places, in addition to many rare spiritual herbs in the legend, there are many things that fall from the cultivator that falls in it. But like shopkeeper Tian's advice, Sky Valley is very dangerous for any cultivator. Sky Valley's range is very great, with thousands of miles, and there are even a few great treasure mountains in the valley, and there are valleys inside. There are many places in the world that have a unique almost transparent rot, and even the spirit light-like shields are completely blocked by shapeshift great art. Once they are exposed, the body is rotted and the death is very miserable. And because there is no shapeshift great art in the usual, after the decade-old colorful poisonous scorpion disperses, many surrounding monsters will feel the smell of the spicy herb inside, so the density of the monster beast will come out in the general heaven's dome. Many times as many. Some of the spiritual consciousness's extremely high-level monster beasts, even waiting outside like a cultivator, waiting for the 10-year-old colorful poisonous to disappear, Sky Valley's revisiting day. Every time there are hundreds of cultivators that are dying with a variety of monster beasts. But for the cultivator entering Sky Valley, the most dangerous is not all kinds of high-level monster beast. Because after all, the real goal of high-level monster beast is the spiritual herb they want, without the necessary lust conditions, they do not want to and cultivator die, even if it is heavenly circuit realm, thought division realm cultivator, after they killed, corpse naked body value of the common beast high, estimated in their eyes is not as good as they usually like intercourse eat the beast delicious. So if you see the high-level monster beast and run hard, these purposeful high-level monster beast will not necessarily desperately chase. But for some cultivators that want to kill people, it's not the same. Outside of Heaven's Dome, there are a lot of lusts in the murder, like the young cultivator that Wei Suo and others just killed. Even if the masters insect know, it is impossible to get out of the place outside heaven's dome. The Great Treasures sect has the power of such a strong great treasure only within a few thousand miles of frequent activities. A lot of cultivators and monster beasts like Sky Valley, even if you kill a famous elite disciple, when you go to the divine light, the great sect is hard to find. So for the cultivator, the most dangerous thing is that it is a cultivator that goes with the news of killing people and penalties. If Amethyst Fox Rose is only able to dispel the negative power of United Void Pellet, Wei Suo may not decide to go to Sky Valley for luck. But now that I've thoroughly understood the power of Amethyst Fox Rose, Wei Suo is completely tempted, ready to go back and green-robed old man to get something safer to get into Sky Valley. The most great treasure effect of Amethyst Fox Rose is to dispel the various plagues in the cultivator naked body. Like the cultivator advanced to heavenly circuit realm, it will certainly rely on various monster core refining medicine pill and spiritual herb cultivation. In the process of these monster core refining medicine pill, although alchemist has refining the ingredients that are not good for cultivator, it still has very few unfavorable components. After these unfavorable ingredients remain in the cultivator naked body, part of the cultivator cultivation process can also be removed by the forced shapeshift great art, but some unfavorable ingredients will be merged into the flesh and blood, true UN, no shapeshift great art at all. Stripped out. These unfavorable ingredients accumulate and damage the life essence and cultivation base of the cultivator. Especially when breaking through to golden core realm, when true UN condenses golden core, the more pure true UN, the higher the success rate of condensing golden core. An amethyst fox rose is the most generous treasure to eliminate the unfavorable power of these residues in the cultivator naked body. Thought division stages cultivator, even with amethyst fox rose, congeal golden core is unsuccessful, and the effectiveness of amethyst fox rose can also increase the cultivator life essence of thought division realm for 20 years. An amethyst fox rose also has a strong great treasure to eliminate the drug resistance. Often using a medicine pill cultivation, for example, Wei Suo has always used golden spirit pellet cultivation, and for a long time, the absorption of golden spirit pellet will be longer and worse. This is the resistance that cultivators will encounter. For this kind of problem, you can choose to use other monster core refining medicine pill to solve. But the more different medicine pill refining, the more unfavorable drugs will accumulate in the naked body. And for Wei Suo, the most important thing is that he wants to improve his level of shapeshift great art with heaven mending pellet. He didn't want to solve this problem, but the problem that could be solved with 100 heaven mending pellets would have to be 200, 300, or even more. Coupled with the reason of green-robed old man, Wei Suo's achievement of golden core is possible for great treasure, so amethyst fox rose is also a must for Wei Suo. Even if there is only one amethyst fox rose, and Han Wei, the two people must also be great treasure with a secret place. Spiritual stones. And spiritual stones. Now Wei Suo sells a treasure receiving pocket in his hand, and the spiritual stones on his body can't last for a few days. When they try their luck in Sky Valley, maybe they can earn some spiritual stones. Wei Suo, who once again felt that he was so busy, returned to his heaven-grade residence. But as soon as I walked into the quiet room, the lust scene I saw was a surprise for Wei Suo, which was extremely uncomfortable on this day. Mind-devouring bug. He didn't think of it on the road and he let his mind-devouring bug soak in the Xuanhuan liquid. Now, at a glance, he saw that the Xuanhuan liquid in the jade pot had been obviously shallow for a while, and the innate thin mind-devouring bug that was soaked in it was obviously a great treasure. Under the guidance of Wei Suo's, the mind-devouring bug larva, which was originally a bit half-lived and half-lived, climbed up from the Xuanhuan liquid. Is this growing too fast? It is not the illusion of Wei Suo's that the mind-devouring bug larva now looks a little smaller than Han Wei's. With such a fast growth length, Wei Suo couldn't help but open the flowers. Immediately let this mind-devouring bug continue to go back to the Xuanhuan liquid to soak. After the mind-devouring bug continued to soak, Wei Suo took out the ghost-raising jar and talked carefully about the life that happened in the middle of the green-robed old man. Because the current sect is very different from it was 1,000 years ago, green-robed old man is also completely without shapeshift great art from the young cultivators shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art, as well as the unique restrictions and tracking shapeshift great art to determine which sect elite disciple this cultivator is. And hearing the news of Amethyst Fox Rose, green-robed old man is also very moving. Amethyst Fox Rose was extremely rare 20,000 years ago, and there is an alias called the medullary condensate flower, which is extremely amazing, which can increase the success rate of cultivator condensate by 50%, and even one at that time. One of the main materials of pill recipe, which directly adds 100 years of life essence to the additive longevity. Because it is also a coincidence, green-robed old man followed a sharp master, that is, when he reached the thought division stage 5th layer, when he competed for an amethyst fox rose, he couldn't fight each other and be the other. Born and killed. Because divine peach jade is in hand, green-robed old man also agrees with Wei Suo to try the Sky Valley for this spicy herb. And according to the last time the ear clerk said shapeshift great art, it was said that after a month and a half, that is, after 15 days, the Sky Valley's colorful drug lords would disappear. However, Wei Suo learned from the mouth of shopkeeper Tian that many forces have accurately judged it, and the exact time when the colorful drug lords disappeared completely is after 23 days. At the time after 15 days, at most, the colorful poisonous cockroaches disappeared. In many places, there was such a poisonousness, and there was no miasma that shapeshift great art resisted. Wei Suo is very skeptical that this is not the case. The store clerk estimated that a few days earlier, when he did not check it, he might not be able to come out after entering. And Sky Valley recreated the day after 23 days, then Wei Suo is now intercourse to the invisible shapeshift great art and spirit rank shields of Murong Chen and shopkeeper Tian's Wang Shishu. It has also been refining. With these two things, the security factor for entering Sky Valley has increased with great treasure. Of course, if you want to say 100% security, it is absolutely impossible. After all, Wei Suo entered the Wan Snake Valley last time and met the One-Horn Thunder. This time, to kill twin-headed canine, it was nothing but a fool. Killed the strong great treasure cultivator to kill. In the days that followed, Wei Suo continued to refining the golden spirit pellet cultivation on hand and began to prepare some of the ingredients for the dog meat. Twin-headed canine. This kind of monster beast meat has a great reliability to the cultivated body's naked body. It is precious to improve the cultivator cultivation's talent, but there are still many unfavorable cultivator ingredients in the meat. Some excipients are cooked together. After 3 days, the dozens of miscellaneous ingredients Wei Suo were all prepared, and the mind-devouring bug larva also absorbed all the Xuanhuan liquid in the jade pot. Surprising Wo, this mind-devouring bug larva grows very well. In 3 days, it has almost doubled the great treasure, and it is a great treasure compared to Han Weiwei's mind-devouring bug. Just as Wei Suo took out twin-headed canine and the already prepared nurturing demon liquid, and prepared to observe the effect of nurturing demon liquid on mind-devouring bug, while Wei Suo suddenly felt when cooking twin-headed canine meat it is time for this mind-devouring bug to eat strongly. This Wei Suo took the nurturing demon liquid directly to the room where the force of the shapeshift great art was tested, and then let mind-devouring bug stay in the nursery demon liquid. Just kidding, though.